Now, one of the most spectacular rail journeys to be found anywhere in Ireland was that to be had on the line which ran from Farranfore to Valencia Harbour in County Kerry. It actually closed in 1960, but as our Joan O'Sullivan has been discovering, it's still very fondly remembered in the local area.
Breathtakingly beautiful, but many say South Kerry can no longer be viewed from its best perspective. That came from on board a train that ran from Farranfore to Valencia Harbour and offered passengers one of the most awe-inspiring rail journeys in the world. The line closed in 1960 and even the tracks were taken up. Pat Kavanagh from Kells never saw the old railway in use, but he argues that its influence remains. To prove his point, he's bringing us along the old route.
This is where it all began, way back in the 1890s, here in Farranfore. You had 2, 3, 4 trains some days, every day of the week. You had a huge population in South Kerry, and this was their only access out of the place.
Passengers who travelled on the old line aren't difficult to find and are eager to tell their stories.
The first time that I can remember travelling was for the Munster final in 1953.
You remember the result of the match?
I sure Kerry won anyhow, you know. I travelled to Puck there with my father and my grandfather. All I remember very well, there was a fight inside in the train and all the windows were broken.
The train ran from Farranfore through Malahave, Castlemaine and Milltown before hitting its first major town in Kilorglin.
Kilorglin exported wool, exported salmon, exported shellfish, and of course the turf and the livestock and the passengers. When it became known that the railway was to be closed, the people of Kilorglin protested.
Unfortunately, the protests did not work. The old bridge remains.
It's an open walkway. The local Kilorglin Community Council developed it over the last 10-15 years.
It's great that the bridge at least has been preserved.
Preserved, very important. Preserving any part of this has been a huge benefit to the area.
Bringing the railway to the wilds of the Ivera Peninsula was an impressive feat of engineering. From Kilorglin, it ran across the rough countryside near Carva Lake and on by Glen Bay before entering Mountain Stage. Sean Hurley grew up in the small railway cottage there.
Up here on my right hand side is the window where I used to go to bed at night. They were taking excursions here, there and everywhere, was they up the country, or perhaps to Knock even in those years.
From Mountain Stage came the truly jaw-dropping part of the journey. The train ran along by the coast overlooking Dingle Bay, through tunnels hewn out of the cliff itself. Then came the viaduct.
A huge feat of engineering. They had their best engineers devising the most unique structures. The tunnels, the viaduct, all the minor little bridges and culverts that were made, they were magical works of art.
Curiously, the train often seemed to stop near the viaduct and close to Coacheen's pub.
They run out of power, and while the fireman was getting up the steam again, they'd adjourn here for refreshments to help them on their way.
Did that happen often?
Well, we can't say, but it just happened Monday mornings especially.
From the viaduct at Gleesk, the train went on to Kells Station, which is now being used as a community resource centre.
My grandmother then was the gatekeeper here. Well, I did open the gates a few times just for the thrill of it. When people would be coming back from England, there'd be great excitement at Kells Station. People coming home with their cases and very sad faces then when they were going back to England.
Next stop was Carrisiveen, where Gerald Fitzgerald's father worked as an engine driver.
To be on the train there at different times of the year, you get sometimes there a real low cloud and you could see no sea on each cloud. You think you were up in the Alps.
Renard Point at Valencia Harbour was the end of the line, But the real end of the line came in 1960. Locals say there hasn't been and never will be anything like it again.
There was nothing to replace the train, nothing even since, with all the most magical bus tours and everything. Nothing has capped what the train could have provided for this South Kerry community.
Wonderful memories and great views of the Kerry coastline there. That ends our programme for this evening. Do join us again on Friday next when we'll bring you the third and last of our programmes looking at Irish railways of yesteryear.